So the media has been covering ISIS very thoroughly, which is definitely a good thing. Excuse me. It's something that we should all be up to date on. You know, it's a scary situation. It's a rabid group of jihadists that have gone above and beyond what we've seen from Al-Qaeda. But they've almost 100% disregarded another group of people acting in a very similar way to ISIS, the Saudi government. Now, you're probably thinking, well, wait, what? The media's disregarding the Saudi government and they're acting like ISIS? I thought they're our ally. I thought they're rather advanced. I mean, you've seen the pictures coming out of there with the modern cities now and everything. Here's a story from Friday that I bet you haven't heard. Quote, Saudi Arabia has beheaded 19 people in the month of August alone. 8 of these beheadings are for non-violent offenses, 7 are for drug smuggling, and 1 is for sorcery. Wow. They say another one of the guys that was beheaded was mentally ill, and it was clear that he was mentally ill. And also, in terms of the specifics of the drug offenses that people were killed for, we brought this up the other day briefly. Somebody brought amphetamine pills into the country. So in other words, it's like bringing Adderall into the country and getting the death penalty. Getting the death penalty for having some pharmaceuticals. And somebody brought hash into the country. So a little bit stronger than weed. Somebody brings in something a little stronger than weed. You get the death penalty and you get beheaded. Beheaded. They cut off your fucking face because you had drugs on you or because you practiced sorcery. Okay, you know what that means? They killed somebody for absolutely nothing. You want to know how I know that? Sorcery doesn't exist. Sorcery is like the tooth fairy. Sorcery is like the Easter bunny. Nobody has magical powers. Nobody practices dark witchcraft. I mean, look at this, man. This is our ally. This is our ally. But the media doesn't say anything, and the government doesn't say anything. Why? Oil. Oil. We're so addicted to the oil coming out of Saudi Arabia that we look the other way as they do shit very similar to the people today who are our mortal enemies and who we're scared to death of. Isn't that stunning? And what a lot of people don't know is that the same brand of Islam that ISIS practices is the brand represented by the Saudi government. Okay, they have the morality police that runs rampant around Saudi Arabia and punishes people for nothing at all. I mean, talking back was one example. We covered a story recently where a woman dared speak back to somebody who was part of the morality police, and they gave her lashes and threw her in jail. I mean, women aren't allowed to drive. Women have to cover their faces at all time. They need to be accompanied by a man in public. If you're gay, you get put to death. If you're an atheist, you get put to death. I would be put to death in Saudi Arabia simply because I'm an atheist. That's it. That's it. So here we have, I mean, let's face it, man, call it what it is, a terrorist nation. I mean, they do violence in the name of politics in the most extreme and vicious ways. I mean, all states, to one extent or another, do that, but there are some examples where it's more understandable and there's a better argument for it. But in terms of just killing people for being gay, killing people for being atheists, killing people for smuggling drugs, killing people for nothing, sorcery! Okay, it's fucking time for the U.S. to condemn this and call this out and also start making deals with other nations where we can get off of our addiction to Saudi oil. I mean, what, there's no other nations we could talk to? There's nobody else we can make a peace deal with? There's nobody else that we could become allies with? There's nobody else to smooth over things with? You know? I mean, it's ridiculous that if you're our ally, you could do something horrendously fucked up and we'll shut the fuck up about it. But if we disagree with you in any way, shape, or form, then we'll demonize you endlessly in the media and we'll highlight only the negatives about you and, you know, we'll make it seem like you're the worst people on the planet since the North Korean regime or since jihadists. When, again, the reality is, who's leading the government in Saudi Arabia? It's pretty close to jihadists. I mean, it's just a Sharia state, pure and simple.